Are you looking to take back your lawn this spring but have no idea where to start? Well, you found the right video. Welcome to Great North Lawn Care. My name is Wade Murray. I've worked in the lawn care industry and I'm a lawn care enthusiast. And my goal is to teach homeowners how to take their lawn to the next level. So if that sounds like a great idea for you, make sure you hit that like button down below and stick around because we're going to get right into it. For those of you new here, make sure you subscribe. We release new lawn care videos every week, as well as a podcast every month, where we help Canadian homeowners and homeowners all around the world get the best lawn on the block. So if that sounds great to you, hit subscribe, hit that like button down below, and share the video with your friends and family so we can help grow this channel. So when it comes to what to do in the spring, there's plenty of options here, and most of the options rely on what your lawn was looking at last fall. So it's time to cast your mind back a little bit to what was going on last fall, and we're going to go over each option of what was happening last fall and how that will affect what you're going to do this spring. Alright, so the first person I think to talk about is the person that has more than 30% grass. So if you look out at your lawn and you minus all those weed sections and you minus all those bare spots, in the total you have more than 30% grass. And I would say this is probably about 80 to 90% of you. The people who have less than 30% grass are either completely weed infested or bare. They live in a new house, they need to see their lawn. So if this is you and you have more than 30% grass, what I can recommend is, what did you do last fall? Did you apply fertilizer? And if the answer is yes, how much fertilizer did you apply? If you applied a Scott's program, you put down one of those fall application fertilizers, you should be pretty set for the spring. If you applied another fertilizer, and you're looking at, you put almost a half pound, 3/4 pound, or a full pound of nitrogen in the fall, you are going to be set for this spring. So if that is you, and you applied fertilizer in the fall, what you need to be looking at this spring is hitting get going with mowing. Make sure you hit that dethatch. Your lawn should kick back right in, no problem, because you got all that N in. You're going to put down your first fertilizer application around mid to late May, somewhere around May 2-4, Victoria Day weekend or Memorial Day weekend for my American friends. That's going to be your first fertilizer application. That application, you want to do a 1/4 pound in of nitrogen probably. And then you should be pretty set going straight into summer, watering, everything like that. Keep your mowing practices going and you'll be fine. For my friends that didn't put down fertilizer in the fall, what you need to do is you need to catch up a little bit and get down that fertilizer this spring. However, you gotta be careful and make sure you don't put down too much so your lawn's growing so much to the point where you can't even keep up with it. So what I would suggest is, as soon as so soil temperatures hit 50 degrees, put down a light application of nitrogen, somewhere under 10%. Or less. So if you're looking at that bag, that first big number, you want that to be lower than 10, and you're going to put that down at 1 pound per 1,000 square feet. And that's going to allow you to get that little bit of kick in the spring to get your lawn going. Then you're going to follow what the rest of the people who follow fertilizing the fall are doing, and you're going to apply those fertilizer applications in around May 2-4 weekend. And then you're going to apply another one around July 1st or July 4th. Canada Day or the 4th of July weekend, and that's going to help push you into the summer and help get your lawn going, because you didn't get that application down in the fall. Now you have the opportunity to get that application down in the spring. So those are my recommendations for my folks that have more than 30% grass and are looking to take their lawn to the next level this spring. Now for those people too, when we're talking about great mowing practices, what I'm talking about is mowing at least once or twice a week. The best thing to keep in mind here is the more you mow, the more your lawn is going to grow. So making sure you're mowing properly and you're mowing at 2.5 to 3 inches or 3 inches to 3.5 depending on your grass type. 3 inches to 3.5 I find is the perfect sweet spot for everybody in the spring. And make sure you're mowing once or twice a week. The more you mow, the more your lawn's going to grow. The more you cut off that top, it's going to encourage your lawn to thicken out. So practicing that proper mowing is really going to help make a difference for you. Alright, so now let's talk about my folks that either have less than 30% grass or no grass at all. What are you going to do? Well, you are probably looking at seeding. Seeding is going to be the option for you. So my other folks, they were doing fertilizer, you're looking at seeding. Now we all know that spring seeding is not the recommended time to seed a lawn. And if you're wondering why, it's because the spring is very unpredictable, and it's because the spring leads directly into a very heavy season of stress, which is the summer. Cool season lawns do not thrive in the summer. That's why your lawn turns brown and gets dry in the summertime and you have to water it. So fertilizing in the spring, where you're going to have those little baby roots, seeding in the spring when you're going to have those little baby roots, is going to lead to those plants have a higher likelihood of dying in the summer in that heavy season of stress. This is why we don't recommend seeding in the spring. However, you have no option. You want that nice lawn for the summer, you have no grass at all, and you're looking at something to do. What I would recommend is wait until you have sustained soil and air temperatures between 8 and 20 degrees Celsius. So if you're wondering how to take a soil temperature, you can check it with a meat thermometer. Just stick it 4 inches down, and that will give you your soil temperature. Now the reason is that's the best time to germinate grass seed. You're going to put down your grass seed for my people who have less than 30% grass at an overseeding rate, about 7 to 8 pounds per 1,000 square feet. For my people who have no grass at all, you're going to put that rate down a lot higher. You're going to go about 12 to 14 pounds per 1,000 square feet. This is going to help you get a good stand of grass at least for the early spring and into the summer. You need to make sure you're watering it and put down a starter fertilizer, something that's high in phos at the same time you do that. So those second two numbers, you want to be higher than the first number. If you go to Home Depot, you look for a starter fertilizer, you'll most likely find it. The reason why is you need to be pushing this grass, getting it set up for the summer. So you're going to put down a starter fertilizer application at the same time as you're seeding. Then about 4 weeks later, you're going to put down another one. Then 4 weeks later, you're going to put down another one. Those two subsequent applications are going to hopefully help strengthen those roots enough to get you through the summer. Now you have to manage your expectations. You're going to know that there's going to be die-off in the summer because there's just going to be those young plants that can't live. In the same way that back in the day, in medieval times, people would have 10 or 12 children because some of them just didn't make it through the winter. It's the same thing with grass seed in the summer. You're trying to overpopulate so that it's going to thin out a little bit in the summer. That's just the way it's going to happen. That's the way it's going to work. Manage those expectations. You know that it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to have to do a subsequent renovation in the fall. So that is definitely something to think about as well. If you're buying a specific cultivar of grass, if you're buying Everest, Kentucky bluegrass, for example, buy extra so you can overseed in the fall as well, because you're probably going to have to do that because you're just not going to get a thick enough stand in the spring. The spring doesn't last that long. It's going to get thinned out in the summer. You're going to have to overseed or push heavy with fertilizer in the fall. So pushing that lawn, you need to get in there, get dirty right away, get ready, plan out your renovation, have everything ready. As soon as those temperatures hit, you're good to go. Balls to the walls, run out, start going. That is the best solution for those people. Now, if you're looking at sod can be laid as soon as the farms can cut. Obviously, farms most of the time can't cut when the ground's frozen or the ground's a little hard because that blade that cuts underneath just gets all wonky and the rolls get all messed up. But you can lay as soon as those sod farms can cut, which is probably around mid-May. Again, put down all those starter applications. You want to give your sod the best setup for the summer. This sod has been grown in perfect conditions for 6 months to a year, and now you're putting it in your lawn, which is most likely not perfect conditions, and you're shooting it right into a very heavy time of stress. So making sure that you're hitting it with those fertilizer applications, giving it plenty of water, and that is going to help you get the most success. So when we're talking about watering seed or sod, the best thing is you need to be watering every day. You need to be watering for about 20 minutes, and you need to be keeping the ground wet at all times for the first 2 weeks. Then you can back off a little bit and water every other day for a longer period of time. So if you're watering every day for 20 minutes for the first week, you're going to water every other day for 40 minutes for the third week, and then you can cycle it back to your regular watering schedule after that. But trying to establish that sod is very important, just as important as establishing your seed for the summertime. Same starter fertilizer regimen, that's going to help you get the best lawn. If you're looking at having the best chance of surviving a lawn that's going to have a lot of heavy traffic, for example, you have kids or dogs, sod is always the better option over seed. Sometimes what I've seen people do, they sod the areas near to their house. They sod that first 10 feet out from their house so their kids and dogs can play on the sod or whatever, and then they seed the rest after that. The seed and sod will blend perfectly over a period of a year and a half. It takes about a year for seed to become fully established. But that gives you that instant lawn that you can use, and then after that, that seed will take a little bit more time, but that's acceptable as long as you have the spot for the dog to go or the spot for the kids to play. We're not going to be tracking all that mud into the house. Next, let's talk to my folks who've been around the channel for a while and say they listened to me and they did a fall renovation last year and now they're heading into their first spring after the renovation. What are they going to do? Well, if you did do a fall renovation and you're following my program, you've put down plenty of nitrogen in the fall, you should be pretty safe for heading into this spring. Couple things to look at. You might be seeing some thin areas, some areas that didn't fill in, as I referenced before. It takes 6 months to a year for grass to become fully established, sometimes a year and a half. So those bare spots, you might be tempted to throw down some seed. If they are really big bare spots, go ahead and follow the same suggestion I gave for my folks that have less than 30% grass. As soon as those soil temperatures are between 8 and 20 degrees Celsius, throw down some seed, make sure you're watering, make sure you're hitting it with the fertilizer, and giving that seed the best chance to survive the summer. But what I really recommend is just pushing it hard with fertilizer. Now, you're not going to have as much of a concern as the people with a more established lawn of getting a ton of top growth in the spring because your lawn's fairly new. The more fertilizer you're going to do, the more your lawn's going to thicken up and become more healthy, rather than you're transferring to a lot of shoot growth. So making sure that you're pushing that lawn heavy with fertilizer, trying to get it to thicken up, trying to get those roots to establish. So another fertilizer good with those last two numbers being higher is going to give you great pressure to get those roots established. If you're doing liquid, make sure you put down some humic. That will also help get your roots quite a bit more established. And that's the most important thing. Getting those roots as established as possible is going to give you the best success this summer or with your recently renovated lawn. So again, try to forget the seed. You're only seeding if you have big bare spots that you just can't live with. But if you have those big bare spots, if you can live with them for the summer, seed them next fall. But I would definitely recommend just pushing hard with fertilizer, proper mowing. That's going to help give you the best chance to survive the summer, the thickest and healthiest lawn to survive the summer. Finally, for my folks who have a good lawn, they just want it to look better, or the pro who has a great lawn and is just looking for other tips. Fertilizer in the spring, pushing growth, proper mowing habits, and watering are the three biggest things. Not pushing a ton of shoot growth in the spring is always important. The more shoot growth you push, you're just wasting the plant's energy, and if the plant is already tired and the energy is wasted before you're heading into that period of stress in the summer, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So the best thing to do in the spring is to kind of back off on the fertilizer a little bit, especially if you're going really heavy in the fall. You want to be pushing a little bit less growth, and the growth you want to be pushing, you want it to be strategic and you want it to be very useful. So pushing that growth around that May 2-4 weekend is what I've noticed the best for me. And if you're doing liquids, applying liquids straight through the spring with smaller doses works perfectly fine as well. I definitely recommend for the pro or someone who's been around the block, this is their 4th or 5th season, try liquids this spring. Do only liquids. The Grow Forward products are great. I have a promo code on the screen here and it's linked down below, 5% off on everything on their website. Try liquids in the spring. It can really help make a big difference for you. Pushing those micronutrients can give you a great boost of color that will really help take you to the next level. Proper mowing practices too. Mowing, it's very simple, but it makes a big difference. 3 to 3.5 inches, maybe up to 3.75 in the spring can be very, very good. Making sure you're only mowing off 1/3 of the grass blade at a time, and that you're mowing about every 2 to 3 days can really help strengthen and healthy up a lawn in the spring. Proper mowing in the spring, I see a lot of people that get behind on their mowing, especially if it's a really wet spring, and then you're hacking the grass down. You should almost be out there with a scythe. Your grass is so high, and that is just not good. Again, you're stressing the plant out as it's heading into a period of stress. It's just going to end up giving you bad results in the summer. So staying on top of that mowing, staying on top of that fertilizer, and water is also important in the spring to mention. A lot of people tend to overlook it because spring is traditionally a wetter season. But we can have dry springs. We've had the last 2 springs for me have been quite dry. If you didn't get a lot of snow, which is most of North America on the East Coast this year didn't get a lot of snow. That snow melt gives you plenty of water in the spring. If you're missing the snow, you're missing that snow melt, you're not going to get as much water. So watering in the spring can be something to mention, to not get overlooked, as it can make a big difference for you. The bottom line here is what is important in the spring. As I said, mowing is extremely important. Fertilizer, not pushing a lot of shoot growth is very important. Water, as I said, gets often overlooked, and that is also very important. But the bottom line is here, have a plan. I cannot specifically give tailored advice to everybody at the same time. Each climate is different, each lawn is different, each location is different. The lawns vary from street to street. My lawn to my girlfriend's house on the other side of town are completely different. There's microclimates all over the world, and I cannot give tailored advice for your specific microclimate without me being there and seeing it. So the bottom line is here, you need to make a plan specific to your area. You have probably lived in this house for more than a few years, and if you haven't lived in this house, you might have experienced a fall or an entire season in this area before. You know your own microclimate. You know what your springs are like. You know the problems that you're most likely facing in your lawn. And make sure you're putting this in your head. What I would recommend for you is getting yourself a lawn journal or making a notes document on your computer and writing down, all of the obstacles that you might be expecting to run into this spring. And then start, maybe watching backlog of my videos, listening to my podcast, and seeing ways you can tackle those obstacles. And that's not made to make you scared of your lawn. That's not made to make you overwhelmed. That's just made to keep you educated so you know what you're going to face in your specific area. The bottom line here, guys, it's just a lawn. You have plenty more seasons to improve it. You have the fall to do a great fall renovation. You can completely change your lawn this fall, do a different seed, low cut, whatever you want to do. But the spring is the time that everybody tends to look at their lawn because they've been waiting all winter and they're ready to get back into it. But the bottom line here, it's just the lawn. There's not a ton else for me to say to that. If you don't have great results this spring, there's plenty of other seasons. Not time to get discouraged or completely give up. And if you're looking for more advice, spring lawn care, everything like that, check out the playlist I have linked in the iCard up here or linked down in the description below. I have plenty of great videos on spring lawn care that can help you improve your lawn this season. So that's it from the Great Green North Lawn Care. My name is Wade Murray. Make sure you guys hit subscribe on this video. There's plenty of great lawn tips coming up. If you haven't, make sure you listen to my podcast. It's available wherever you get a podcast, or it's also linked here on YouTube. The Great Green North Lawn Care. My name is Wade Murray. As always, any questions, leave them down in the comments below. You can submit them to my website, greatgreennorthlawncare.ca, or you can submit them by email, greatgreennorthlawncare@gmail.com. Thank you guys for watching, and as always,
don't keep sailing away into the edge of time. Wake up to find it all slipping away. In the dark, in the rain, I was breaking down. I've been falling into circles again. Is the future really possible without you? I'm realizing now I've been stuck here from the start.